Welcome back to Naturally Spiritual, where we correlate the spiritual with the natural. I'm Cheryl,
And I'm Sherry.
and today we're going to bring you another brief moment in Black history. So let's go ahead and get right to it.
Okay. Sometimes you have to be a team player, and take one for the team. Sometimes that might mean getting splinters and riding a bench. Even when you are a great player,
Mhm.
sometimes you might have to keep your team hydrated. Become a water boy. Sometimes that might mean who knows cleaning up the field or the courts or whatever.
Mhm.
And then sometimes you have to be the voice, if you will, for the team and go to the coach, go against the
Right.
coach. Take a stance.
You know who took a stance for us?
Who
Rosa Parks.
took a stance or a seat?
She took a stance.
Oh, okay. She
She
took
took a stance
in her
in
seat.
her
Okay,
seat, right?
okay, gotcha. All right.
Yeah. So let's go back to that day in history.
Mm-hmm.
So that particular day, Rosa decided that she was sick and tired of being sick and tired.
Okay, like sick and tired of the physical, like my feet
No,
hurt.
Rosa said that day, I'm not moving out of this seat.
Okay.
And so I wonder how many times before that Rosa had that thought but never spoke up.
Oh, okay.
So you
I'm
see what I'm saying? You
I'm
get
following
me?
you now,
You
sister.
get me?
Yeah. So
Before
okay,
that
right.
day, Rosa probably sat in that seat
Mm-hmm.
day after day after day. She
Mm-hmm.
probably had that thought. And how many times do we go through life, through situations in our life where we don't speak,
Mm-hmm.
even though we know that it frustrates us, we
Mhm.
know that we're not happy in that situation, but we're quiet, right?
Right.
But I believe on that particular day, Rosa had prayed about it.
Mm-hmm.
And on that particular day, God told Rosa, take your seat, but speak.
But speak.
But
Okay.
speak. So she spoke up. That day, she refused to get out of that seat. And I think that she had the voice of the Lord on her side.
You are absolutely right, and the reason being was, if you think about strategically where she was sitting,
Right.
like she was sitting in the seat that was the very first seat that was designated for blacks,
Mhm.
which was right behind the last row that was reserved for whites.
Right.
So you're right.
So and I
Okay.
wondered, it was all in the plan, because I wonder if she was the first person she went to, or if she was the only person, or if all the other blacks just were still in the I'm quiet, I'm just going to comply.
I don't know if she was the only person, because if you think about a bus, she's sitting in this seat
Mhm.
right across the aisle. It would also
Also,
be
mhm,
the seats, the very first row that was designated for blacks. So
mhm,
I'm sure they went to her
mhm.
and went to those around her.
But Rosa, like I said, in the physical, she was tired. She was very
I
tired.
don't know, because if she was tired, her first thought would have been, "Let me move so I can get to the house and put my feet up."
But sometimes though, when you're tired, you're not thinking straight. You're not
Oh
thinking
no,
clearly.
honey,
So
when your feet are hurting. Think about it. You had some shoes that were too small. Your feet in there like, and with every step or every movement, your legs are hurting.
your
Shock
back.
waves are going down your back. So, child, I'm sure she would have given up her seat if it was a physical. She would have given up her seat.
So that's my point.
So she could get to the house.
That's my point. It wasn't physical.
Okay.
It had to be supernatural,
Right.
in a sense that God spoke to her and had her to move that day. So she was bold. Where do you think that boldness came from other than God, right?
She was taking one for the team.
She was
right.
taking one for the
Okay.
team.
Okay.
So God spoke up. Had her to speak up, because you think about the other people who probably were still complying and said, I'm just going to get up and let's make my life easy. Because it wasn't easy for Rosa, because there were a lot of consequences for her refusing to give up her seat.
Right. So she lost her job,
Yes, she lost her job, and
she went to jail.
So now she's running the risk. She's probably not in that state, not get another job,
Right.
and she has a record now, right?
Right.
So-
So even less she was employable. 'Cause
Right.
Who would want to
Who
hire
would want to
somebody?
hire?
You're a convict. What? Even if you took a stance and
Right.
even if you were standing for us.
Right.
Right. Yeah. So you're
So
right.
you see?
Yeah, so it had
So
to
she
be.
took that stance, and as I was saying, sometimes God will have you to sit and wait, but when the time is right, because he look, is that Jeremiah when he says, when the time is right, I the Lord will make it
It
happen.
will make it happen. Right.
So that was the day that God gave her the voice.
right.
So
yeah.
you have to look, if you're praying about something, you also have to be willing to move when he says move. Then a lot of times we may not agree with what he's telling us, but if he's telling us to move, you better move.
right then. And
Right.
if I can back you up with the verse. I'm coming from 2 Timothy 2:3, maybe 3-7. Thou therefore endure hardness as a good soldier of Christ. So sometimes it's not about you. Sometimes it's about, a bigger cause than you.
Right.
No man that warreth entangleth himself with the affairs of this life, that he may please him who has chosen him to be a soldier.
Mhm.
So again, she was chosen. So
She was
chosen
chosen,
for
right.
that to be that person
Yes.
at that time.
Particular time.
Right. And if a man also strive for masteries, yet he is not crowned, except he strive lawfully. So she wasn't getting a reward other than being jailed and unemployed and probably harassed and everything else.
At that moment.
At that
but
moment,
there
right.
was a greater reward that she later saw.
Right. The husbandman that laboreth must be first partaker of the fruits. So she couldn't have expected anyone else to take a stance that she wasn't willing to take.
Exactly.
Because if you think about it, again, her husband was an attorney
Mhm.
and she was the secretary of the NAACP. So she probably didn't have any business being on that bus.
Right.
Like she
Right.
probably had, 2-3 cars in the driveway, Consider what I say, and the Lord give the understanding in all things. So again, sometimes it's not just about you. It's about taking a stance
Mhm.
for the greater good. So the next time somebody tells you to have a seat,
take a stance.
right. And again, we hope you guys are being blessed by what we're giving you. Like us, love us, share it, and subscribe. Have a good night.
Have a good night.